Throughout your Mandarin self-immersion journey, you're going to need to supplement it with a little bit of study to make it more efficient. However, the wrong way to do it right away is going back to traditional methods such as classrooms and textbooks, trying to study all the vocab there and implement it into your immersion directly. Although, yes, it will help just a little bit, there will be much more efficient ways to do it. And one of the best ways to do it would be using Anki and a concept called sentence mining. Anki, to put it simply, is a spaced repetition system where it tracks your reviews and you can put new cards in it, so you don't get quite overwhelmed after a while having to study 1,000 flashcards unless you put too many flashcards in. And for something called sentence mining, instead of actually, trying to get our vocabulary study from external sources, what we're instead going to do is actually go into the content itself and then get the words and the sentences from the immersion content instead of external sources. So it's much better to internalize some of the things that you've been watching at a much more efficient rate. And today I'm going to tell you all about it, including a bit of my setup that you can copy as well. So my name is Virl. I've learned Mandarin to around an HSK 4 to 5 level. And I want to share you today this method that was able to help me get a lot more bang for my buck throughout my immersion. Even though during those times I did study a lot of vocabulary, and I meant a lot. Let's say I remember one time in the car where my dad would be like, oh, you have to study this, you gotta study that, and then he would literally make us drill a bunch of vocabulary and vocabulary and vocabulary. So much vocabulary. In fact, I remember the word for giraffe in Chinese, 长颈鹿, 可是 but unfortunately, that word never really came up in my immersion after a while, even though I still remember it to this day. So I want to also share it to you because when I also started immersing for the first time after memorizing so many of these words, it really didn't help a lot. And I still had to go through a lot of that trial and tribulation part where I've had to first, immerse, have it painful. It's not like I didn't understand anything, where then I was able to then slowly be able to understand more, but also with the help of this program called Anki. So let's begin. So spacing out in Anki works something like this, where we have a forgetting curve, and what Anki tries to do is circumvent this by trying to space out the repetitions of what we learn so that we can come across it again when we are about to forget it. It doesn't really work this way in languages. I'll explain more why later, but let's demonstrate it with this one card. It's going to be 我, a very simple word. So let's say I want to learn it, and then we'd go say, oh, I recognize this character. It's I. We click, look at the definition, and okay, great. So let's go click good. Also keep in mind that you should not be clicking the easy and the hard buttons, even though you thought it was really easy or a little bit hard. Just only click good and again. And then once we see the word again, we're going to be, oh, okay, we're going to guess the word's meaning. Okay, I, so great. Let's go click good again. And it's going to send the card to 1 day later. Once we come back the next day, it's going to be, okay, I remember this word again. And if we're able to get the card right, then it'll send the card and we have to review it 3 days later. This is going to keep going on and on and on until eventually you forget the word and then you have to click again, which sends it back all the way to the default 1 day, 10 minutes setting. And in order to determine whether a card you got right or wrong, for a card that you got right, I would say you only need to know one definition of the card, because a lot of the internalizing of said card or word will come through immersion, and all you need to do is just remember what it vaguely meant. So you can just choose one definition, memorize it, and then you could click good. Also, when you're going to get something wrong, that's of course when you don't remember the definition, and depending on what you want to study right now. For example, I'm right now trying to study and be more strict on my tones. If I get a tone wrong in a word, then I'll click again and then review it again later. Now, to actually use Anki effectively, well, Anki depends a lot on how much you immerse, because immersion is going to be the main way in order to get, well, the results we want. It's kind of like taking some sort of pre-workout and going to the gym versus you just taking pre-workout and not really doing anything. Where, yes, the pre-workout is going to help us a lot, but in order to actually get the muscle that we really need in order to lift better weights, we're going to need to do the workout itself. That's pretty much how Anki and, well, immersion kind of go in hand. This also means there are some mistakes, such as you should not complete a core deck in Anki. For example, if you're still a really beginner at the language, then you're going to be probably having something called a core deck. Core decks could include something like the paid refill deck, and other ones I'll be putting in a link in the description. So when you're doing your core decks, you should be, yes, doing it, but you shouldn't be just so strict to the point where, oh, I need to finish this core deck, where before I immerse, I've already given you my story where I was memorizing so many words, doing so little immersion. The only immersion that I was getting was either in classrooms when the teacher would occasionally talk to us in Mandarin, or when I was trying to read texts that I was reviewing. And then after the homework was done, I just threw away the books, threw away all the homework, and then just went on with the rest of my life. Yes, very inefficient. And as a result, yeah, even though I've tried memorizing lots of words, it really didn't stick until I started really starting immersion. Moreover, you also shouldn't treat words like rare Pokemon. Where in Pokemon, where let's say you come across a shiny Pokemon, it's a game where you catch monsters and then you get them in this, train them and such. That's a pretty bad explanation. But to put it simply, it's not going to be like some rare thing to come across a word again, where let's say you come across this word and then you'll be like, oh, I have to keep mining every single word. It's not going to be like that, because words are not rare Pokemon and you will come across them again. The only times you should be concerned about mining a bunch of words is only when you've gotten to a much more advanced level, already know what you're doing, where words, yes, will get a lot more rare and you will need to study them more. But in the meantime, please do not worry about this. Please do not be so obsessed about trying to add every single word into Anki, and especially where you're trying to over-optimize Anki to the point where, even though, yes, I'll give you my setup and it's really nice to have a more optimized Anki where it helps you like give more eye candy to it. It's not like super boring, like just a definition and then a word card and it's just going to bore you out to death. You shouldn't over optimize Anki to the point where it's going to, how do I put this? It's going to take more time out of your immersion, and then you could have just spent more time immersing in having some sort of like okay Anki where you can tolerate it, rather than having like really good Anki, but it takes like a long time to like set up. Like you gotta like put so many, pictures, you gotta put so much audio to it. I'll also explain in my setup now how you can do all of this in just like a few clicks, so it becomes much more easy and you don't need to go through all the hassle to make Anki look pretty. So let's get right into that right now. Alright, so let's get started with Anki. So you should already have downloaded Anki by this point. If not, then yeah, go download it. It's very simple from the internet. And then we're going to be adding 3 things. We're going to be first adding 2 add-ons. So add-ons are pretty much, they're going to help Anki do things better, but you only need to have 2. You may see 3 here. Don't worry about this one, Migaku. But here, Anki Connect and Hyper Text-to-Speech. In order to add these 2 add-ons, I'll also put them in the link in the description. You're going to need to get what's called a code from them. You click get add-ons, enter the code here. Okay, it's going to ask you to restart the program, and then you restart it and it should be good. In order to get the code itself, let's see, for example, here, Anki Connect. What we want to do is just download this add-on, just copy it, and then copy it into the field again. I'm going to just show you again. Yeah, just supposed to copy it here. Now we would want to make a nice card format. The one I'm going to be using is this one by Marv and C. She made this really nice card format and it's also free, so yeah, go get it. Really nice, but it's a bit harder to implement on itself, but don't worry, if you follow what I will be doing, you will not need to worry. So first thing we want to do is get all the necessary fields. See these? Just pretty much, let's say for example I need copy expression, go to Anki, but instead go to tools and click manage note types. It's going to be a bit complicated, just follow along. So what we want to do is click add, and we just want to, let's say, clone basic. So click OK and give it a name. Let's say I want to just put it Chinese demo. I'll just put Chinese demo just to show it to you. I actually already have it here. So let's see here, Chinese demo. And what we want to do is click fields, and then there will be these fields. And what we want to do is add all the fields within, let's see, just click yes, doesn't matter. So then what you want to do is just pretty much for all the fields, click all of this. So I'll go see you in a bit once I've added all of the fields so I can show it to you. Okay, so I've added everything in the Chinese demo, and the next thing we want to do is click cards instead. So here, so it's just going to be front, a back, and a styling. Right now, sort of, and it shows you what it will look like in the front and the back preview. So let's go now, get it. So what you want to go in this website in GitHub is go to front HTML, just click copy raw file. And then what you want to do is copy it all in, and then it should look like this. Click save, go back to cards, and go to back template. Go to back template. Wait, hold on a minute. Okay, go to back template, and then what you want to do is go to back HTML, click copy raw file. Don't need to worry about that. And then here. However, you may see this issue where it says found sentence reading, but there is no field called sentence reading. It's a very quick fix. All you gotta do is just copy the field that it's looking for. Just discard the changes for now. And then go back to fields, add the field sentence reading, okay, and save. Go back to field, go back to cards, go to back template, copy the code again, the back HTML, remember, and then yep, it should look like this. However, it still looks, a bit ugly. So now we have to go to styling. Styling is a lot more simple and straightforward. Go to styling CSS. You don't need to put any sort of code you still need to put code, but it will not usually show up any errors. So just click here and then boom, there, looks nice and then looks stylized, and then you click save. And that should be all for the Anki card setup, and it should look like that. Now we will go to actually getting ways to find cards. First thing you want to download is Yomitan. I'll put a link in the description again. So what's going to help us do is when we want to look for a word, we hold shift and it should scan and show this. In order to actually set it up, first you got to install some dictionaries. And it's also just going to be, download the recommended dictionaries. And also it should give you, wait, where's the language? When you're going to be looking for the language of Yomitan, when it's going to pop up, you will see some sort of language tab. And then what you want to do is click Chinese for that. It will usually be in Japanese. I'll show you a picture up on the screen. But now let's go for the other parts. So for audio, configure audio playback sources. These are the ones I use. All you got to do is just click add, and it'll be language pod, lingua libre, Wiktionary, and then text to speech. And just keep in mind this little exclamation mark arrow here means it will not copy the audio to Anki. Just keep that in mind. That's why I asked you to do hyper TTS. So for Anki itself, make sure Anki is open when you're doing it at the same time, and then click enable Anki integration, and then it should be connected. And now you gotta click Anki flashcards. What you want to do is select the group you want to put. So in order to make an Anki group, you just need to click create deck. Just name the deck whatever you want. I will put mine as Chinese Mine, and then click Chinese Mine, click the card you want. So Chinese demo is kind of custom. This is the one that I use, and then just keep it like this. You don't need to do much because the next thing I'll be showing you will be more important. So click close, and that is all for Yomitan. Now you need to download something called ASB player, and it's going to look something like this. And once you've got it open, this is what you gotta do. So deck, same thing. Note, same thing. And for the sentence field, make sure to copy all this. So sentence, glossary, expression, sentence audio, media, source, URL. Make sure also, yes, for audio, make sure to put sentence audio, or else it's gonna override the normal audio that Yomitan is gonna make for you. So now, how do we actually use these programs? Well, let's go right here. And let's give you a demonstration. So demonstration number 1. So click Control-Shift-U. And then for subtitle track, make sure to click the Chinese one. And then should look like this. So here, let's say I didn't know the word 总共. Let's say I didn't know this word. So what I would do is click add expression note. You can click this button to view my added note. Go to Anki and just give it a preview. See what it looks like. yeah, doesn't look very fancy at all. So what we want to do now in order to add all like the pictures and stuff is now use ASB player. And what you want to do is click Control Shift U. And then once you see this updated card, 总共, then you go back, then you click preview again, as you can see. Alright, so that's how it looks like. Now for something a little different. What if I can't use Yomitan with this? Because here, if I click Shift and I try to copy this text, yeah, I'm able to read it. But for here, no, it's hard-coded in the video. So in order to do this, it's going to be very simple. Open up your computer snip and sketch. I'm right now using Windows 11 on a computer. You may not have it on Mac, but this is what I found the best. So let's say this is another one I copied. So you just need to take another note. I don't want this. And then you go drag over here. And then, yeah, you should be able to get the text. And you need to click this button, which has some lines. It may be something like S or OCR, or it's going to be like scan text. Click this, copy the entire thing, and then it should open in Yomitan. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here. And it should open in Yomitan. And in order to get this, in order to work, just want to make sure that you have it on. Make sure to go to clipboard and click enable background clipboard text monitoring. Open this and enable search. Make sure to have these open if you want where Yomitan can read your copy text, and then you are able to copy it into the dictionary. So in order to do this, once you have the entire text copied, then after that you can click, for example, oh, I want to add this word, so I'll click this. And now for actually extracting the audio and the text, it's going to be a bit more tricky because after you click Control Shift U, there will be no subtitle files at all. So what we want to do instead is we're going to have to be a bit more precise on it, where we have to time it well. And then let's say, for example, she's just about to end this sentence, so I'll click Control Shift U. And then as soon as she ends her other sentence, then after that, okay, we can put it and Control Shift U again, and then end the sentence and update the card. So let's go take a look at the card. Here, let's say view added note. Let's see, 我, and then here, I, me, 我, the sentence. Make sure also as well to copy the entire sentence so it actually puts the sentence here. And then there will be sentence audio, media, let's say her, and then we can click a preview and see what it looks like. Yeah, that's very simple like that. Now for, let's see. Now for actually adding the audio to things that don't have audio. Let's say let's go here because here. So let's go to browser and let's say, for example, 总共. There is no audio for this. We do not have it. So in order to add audio to said thing, we're going to go to hypertext-to-speech if you've already installed it here. Also do keep in mind that it will ask you to go do this configure services. Just go here and just click enable all free services. You should be good. Also just sign up for it. It is paid, but I can use the free version, no problem. So then going back here, go to hypertext-to-speech. And what I want you to do is click add audio. When you click add audio, make sure the source field is not audio, because what's going to do is just read the audio itself and it's just going to sound extremely weird. So what you want to do is expression, and then it should look like this: source text and process text. And then go to target, make sure it's audio as well, voice selection, and here make sure to go to Chinese Simplified Traditional, depending on which one you want to learn. Make sure it is Taiwanese Mandarin or Mandarin. Make sure it's not like Cantonese or something, or else, unless you're learning Cantonese, then yeah. Then what you want to do is click Apply to Notes and make sure to have it selected here. And then we can click Change to Save Preset. And then once you've save that preset, you can then go back to the preset again. So go here. Let's click Browse again, and we can see how it sounds like. Click Preview. Nope, now you have both of them, the word and the sentence. So that's all I have to say about sentence mining basically. So there you have it, Anki in a nutshell for Mandarin. It's honestly one of the just many ways you could use to supplement your immersion. There are many other methods out there, but I believe Anki is probably perhaps one of the best and simplest ways in order to start off and kick off your language learning journey. So we have a road to explore. 我们的旅程刚开始. Also, just one last thing, I do have a paid course in the description about Mandarin reading. I feel that's going to be really helpful for you all. So there it is. Now, thank you for watching for real.